Today we're talking with Dr. John Trent and Dr. Dewey Wilson about the Relationally Intelligent Child. Thank you both for taking the time to chat about this today.
Thanks, Martin. It's great to be with you today.
Glad to be here.
John, I'll ask you the first question. We'll kind of ping pong back and forth. What was the spark behind this book? What did you see happening? You thought there needs to be a book here to address this issue.
Well, Canada, things are still certainly challenging with COVID. They've been really challenging, everywhere. But one of the things, Dewey and I are both, academics in the standpoint that we have earned PhDs, but I'm telling you, the reality is most parents now, they're really concerned about their kids' IQ. Okay. Well, IQ is overrated in terms of what's really impacting their kids. I mean, yes, they've lost ground in math or science by not being able to be actually in a school setting. But I'm telling you, where they've really lost ground and where this book came about is that kids are literally getting the life sucked out of them relationally. And so this is really a book to encourage parents to really realize, oh my gosh, it's not just the, neural connections of memorizing, material that's important for kids. They've lost the ability to connect face to face with others. And that has health implications, that has long-term implications in so many ways. So again, we're not knocking, I mean, go ahead and, make sure your kid studies, but how in the world in this day and age, we've forgotten so much. We're so masked up and just so, that we really need to be relationally intelligent. And that's really where the book came from.
I'll throw this one at you, Dewey. Obviously the challenges of, children not being able to go to a school, that's happened not everywhere, but in a lot of regions. Not being able to go out and play the way they maybe normally did in the past. Is there also an aspect to sort of this intelligence that happens even within a family dynamic? So just making this up, I'm the fourth child of 5. How do I get my voice heard? I tend to kind of get pushed back into the background because sibling number 1, 2, and 3 have mom and dad's ear. Does that play a part in the lack of spiritual and relational intelligence in a child?
Well, sure it does. Yeah. Just the natural birth order of a family. I mean, just it's going to create a set of dynamics you have to fight your way to the dinner table sometimes if you're one of many. But at the same time, the personalities of the children also come into play as well. And in the book, what we've done is, and we've provided this online for our readers, we've actually created a Connect assessment, personality assessment, which helps parents understand that, each one of my children learn differently. They process information differently. They communicate differently. And oftentimes as parents, most parents today, Martin, are going Mach 10 with their pants on fire and really don't have time to spend with their children. And so they tend to discipline and teach the way that they were taught, and without understanding and realizing that God has given each one of our children a specific DNA and a personality. And so what we are encouraging parents to do is to take this online personality assessment, which is actually free, and to learn really how they tend to communicate and process information, but more so to be able to take the assessment for their children and oversee their children as they take the assessment, so that they can learn how their children want to be communicated to, how best they process information in certain environments.
John, we live in a world where we have some pretty negative examples of how to relate, whether we see that on social media or on the news. How can parents help their children navigate some of those challenges, in a world where, we rant first and ask questions later? How can parents help their child not to kind of fall into that?
Yeah. Well, the relationally intelligent child is all about giving parents really 5 handrails, 5, really practical but important elements that they can begin to live out, and they already are. I mean, that's the great thing, Martin, is parents, there's no better person on the planet than a parent to teach their kid to make connections. I mean, we were created for connection. And the relationally intelligent child, we go through these 5 basic elements, starting with attachment and ending with future-oriented service, where when a kid really begins to, first of all, in her home, feel deeply attached and rooted, and we build that foundation, all of a sudden everything begins to line up. Dewey was a home builder for a long time. Dr. Wilson, before he went to school and got his doctorate in cognitive learning and all of those things. But the reality is that, boy, if you don't set the foundation right, you're going to have lots of problems down the road. So again, that's what we're saying. You know, your kid is really going to be in so many ways impacted on, can they walk up to another person? Can they really connect well with somebody? When they're on a team and when they're at school, which is going to reopen eventually, you know, those kinds of things. So that's what we've really tried to do in the Relationally Intelligent Child, is say, okay, here's 5 things that can really, really help you build relational intelligence, not just IQ, but relational intelligence right into the fabric of your kid's life.
I know we don't have time to go through all 5 of those, but Dewey, what are maybe just a couple practical steps that a parent might find about helping a child not be self-centered, but sort of service-centered, reaching out to others? What are some practical things that maybe a parent could do to help a child understand that?
Well, as Dr. Trent was talking about, I mean, first of all, is to lay that foundation of a secure attachment. Give them that safe place to return to, if you will, when they begin to struggle. And what we find is that when that safe place is there, the fearless exploration is going to take place. They have permission to explore their world, and oftentimes as parents, we want to protect our children, but yet we also live in a culture where instead of just hovering over our children, a lot of parents today have become snowplow parents, and not with thinking that we can't allow our children to experience failure or get harmed in any way. But the problem with that overprotection is that it turns our children into somebody who's completely reliant on somebody to make decisions for them. And yet it all comes back to what Dr. Trent was talking about, is that when we provide this secure attachment, it gives them the permission to fearlessly explore their world, which ultimately is going to cause them to fall down. And what they need after that is how to learn to become resilient. So many parents today want to wrap their children up in bubble wrap and keep them safe from the rough, tough environment that we live in. But the truth of the matter is God's created us with the ability to bounce back. And it's not so much how you fail, it's how you get back up. But the ultimate goal is what Dr. Trent was talking about, is that if we can help our children have empathy and a better understanding of who they are based on how God created them to be, then it just opens up their world to go serve other people. And that's what God created us to do within community.
Well, the book is called The Relationally Intelligent Child, Dr. John Trent and Dr. Dewey Wilson. Thank you so much for taking the time today to tell us a bit about the book. Thank you, and best success with the book.
Hey, thank you.
My pleasure.